if you've never gaffed a tarpon, and not many people have today because you're not allowed to kill them unless you buy a special tag and all this stuff. And that's a great thing because they learn now that some of these fish get 50, 60 years old, 70 maybe sometimes. So we're just killing all these great animals, for our own glory, obviously. But when you have a fish that's, 7 feet long and weighs more than you do proportionally, and you drive a hunk of steel into their back, I don't know of anyone that's ever done it that their heart wasn't beating out of their chest. And you have such an adrenaline rush, it's just like every fiber in your body is tingling, and you slam this hunk of steel into their back. If you're fortunate enough to stay in the boat, because I've been pulled overboard probably 10 times gaffing tarpon, just snatch you right out of your shoes, and you're just zooming along in the water with them, trying to get your feet down, trying to reach up and grab them in the face and get a hold of them, So it's
probably one of the most exciting things you've ever done.
I've never had a rush like that ever doing anything. Yeah, I was having dinner one night with Stu App and Ralph Delph, who is probably the best fisherman that has ever been in South Florida.
Wow,
and
that's a hell of a statement.
That guy. I always said he could catch a marlin in a mud puddle. That guy would figure out how to catch fish. I mean, the guy was amazing. He'd catch fish so many different ways, figure out how to do things that were actually impossible to do. How about a 103-pound amberjack on a fly rod? This is years ago, Hooked it over, teased it off a wreck, cut loose, drifted away from the wreck a half a mile before he allowed his angler to catch it, to cast to it. Teased it on a Calcutta rod with a blue runner, pulled the fish off the wreck, and when the fish was almost exhausted and losing interest and so he dinked the fly in there. So
wow,
he exhausted the fish before the guy hooked it.
Right.
Wow. So
ingenious.
So clever, Anyhow, I was having dinner with these guys, and Ralph said, because I think I'd gotten snatched out of the boat the day before or something. He says, there's not a fish in the world that could pull me out of the boat. I go, yeah, good for you, man. I said, I weigh 160 pounds, and I'm not glued to the floor, So the next day we were fishing up off these St. Martin's Keys. I went up there. Stu and Ralph were way to the south, and there weren't anything swimming down there, and I was like thick in them, So I talked to Stu on the radio, and they ran up there, and I see him casting, and Stu hooks his fish. You should get Stu App to tell you this story because he's told it a million times. He'll never forget it. I was watching him, though, and they get this fish over to the boat, and I see Ralph's got a gaff, so I know it's a good one, It looked like a pelican diving when he gaffed him. He went soaring through the air and got drilled into the water and flopping around. The fish came off the gaff. He swam back to the boat. Stu still got the fish on, and they get up there again. And they run up alongside this fish, and it looked like another pelican diving. So he got pulled over twice by the same fish, and the fish broke off in the gap. Stu thinks it was 230.
On 12 contests, I think, too.
It might have been 12, yeah. I don't know, but it was
enormous.
It was a friggin' monster, but it was so.
Tell me the story about...
He could get pulled over.